I heard, and I'm very excited about it.
And I want to introduce him. We've been friends for many years, and we are unbelievable. We're practically brothers, and that's Ted Hayes. Ted, are you there?
Hey, brother, sir. I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
Ted is in Los Angeles. He's yelling. I don't think he has a phone. He's just yelling us here. And Ted and I met through a friend of ours, Pam Stevenson, many years ago. Ted is an activist for the homeless, and that's where we first met. And Ted has been, and I don't like to get into race, but Ted is a black man, and he's a spokesperson for the homeless people, no matter what color you are. And we have some things that we share, and one of them is we bring people in from other countries illegally at the peril of our veterans and our citizens who live under bridges and in tents and cardboard boxes, and we put others in hotels like is going on here in Scottsdale.
Yeah, I'm sure, Ted. This is Ray Michael. Nice to meet you. I'm sure you've heard about here in Scottsdale, a very affluential area, where they're taking a hotel and they're paying. When I say we are paying for them to stay there for free. And these are, however you want to say it, illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants. I heard another thing today, but I won't even go into that. But here are people that are just visiting. Why are we taking care of the people who are actually citizens and take care of our own first? Ted, you live in Los Angeles. Oh my gosh, I talked to my friends out there. They said that it is a disaster out there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to thank you, Ron and brother, for inviting me on your broadcast to share some of my views about what's going on in this world. And that's, what is it, Phoenix? What is it? Radio Phoenix? Hub. That's what I wanted to try to, Hub Radio Phoenix. I'm glad you're doing this, guys. It's a real good outlet. As an activist, a civil rights homelessness resolution activist, I hear a lot, and I've been an activist for 36 years, and I've been proclaiming the same thing over these decades, 3.5 decades here in Los Angeles, the national capital of homelessness. And it's just a bit more sophisticated now. What I've been proclaiming, not only as the root causes of what we're calling homelessness, but also a practical and probably the only reasonable resolution to the matter. For 36 years, as I said, it's more sophisticated now. It's been presented to all the administrations except for Reagan, Bush, George H.W. Bush, his son Bush, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, even President Trump. I was in his office several times last year, not the Oval Office, but meeting with his top staff on homelessness because maybe history will show this one day, but the reason that Mr. Trump waded into the homelessness issue back in 2019 when he came out west here and he began to berate Nancy Pelosi and Eric Garcetti and the liberals for their liberal policies. That's because I had been prodding him. Nonetheless, he made it a political issue. He's the first president to actually make homelessness a political issue because he wasn't speaking from a nonprofit charitable platform, but is indeed speaking from a campaign platform. Then they asked him, though, they said, well, Mr. Trump, what are you going to do about it? And he said, I don't know, we'll do something. Well, subsequently, my name came up in a top level conversation in the White House with his domestic policy staff because the president wanted to send this staff out here to Los Angeles to see what's going on. So they called me and said, this is the White House. You're Ted Hayes, right? I said, yes, I am. But we would like to come out and see you, and we want you to show us around, etc. And I said, I can't be here because I'm going to be on the East Coast at the time. But my A team here in LA will meet with you and show you around. So my A team did meet with them. And then when they came back to DC, I was already out in that neighborhood. So we went down to the White House and my A team flew out and met with us. We had many conversations with the White House on this matter of ending homelessness humanely and justly. It's really bad. I predicted 36 years ago what it was. I said that 36 years ago, if you do not implement my strategic national policy and plan on this matter, it will explode all over the region and all over the country. And it did. My concern is that for political reasons, and I believe because of socialist infiltration, as most activists for poor people, for black people, for homeless people, for whatever is considered socially and economically oppressed, have been socialist. No conservatives, socialist, liberals, leftist. And I have a video I'll send to you, Ron. Maybe you can show it on the channel here.
That would be wonderful. We'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, on Hub. And I castigated the conservatives because the conservatives have a bad habit of beating up, which is an easy target, to beat up on the Democrats, the socialists, liberals, blah, blah. We get that. But, most of this homelessness, which is predominantly black folks, and all this shooting and killing going on across the country is happening in major urban centers, which are run by Democrats and black elected officials and leaders. And we complain about that, but you know what? The conservatives abandoned the urban centers and ran to the suburbs and left us black people, poor people, suppressed people in the hands of the former slave masters, the Democratic Party, and the party that created Jim Crow and the Ku Klux Klan. The conservative Republicans left us. And now they want to condemn the Democrats for their liberal policies. Had they been here presenting conservative ideals, Republican ideals, the socialists would have never got into our urban centers. So I think that it's time for the conservatives to take a little responsibility for what's going on in this country when it comes to homelessness and all the other issues in this country going on. So I'm sorry, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Don't get your blood pressure.
You got me going. See what you did, Ron? You got to stop that, dude.
One of the things that bothers all of us here is one of the sad things when we see these, I don't know I guess we just call them illegal aliens. That's supposed to be
I call them invaders. They're invaders. Invaders.
Well, invaders. Yes, they come to this country. They stay in Scottsdale, Arizona, which anybody around the country knows anything about Scottsdale. It's pretty posh little area, right? And they're staying in hotels, and we like to always say with room service and double towels. You get all the towels you want, and yet we have whites and blacks that have served in the United States military that are sleeping in tents, sleeping under bridges, and I think it's far worse in California than your area, Ted.
Yeah, but Ron, Ron, I don't blame the illegal alien invader occupiers. I don't blame the socialists. I don't blame the Democrats. I don't blame Joe Biden. I don't blame Kamala Harris. I don't blame the people south of the border. You know who I blame? We the people. We the people. We allowed this because we have not in the 245 years. This coming July 4th will be 245th birthday of the United States of America. We have never had a we the people's movement whereby we order around our elected and appointed officials. You see, today is Flag Day, right? And we salute Flag Day. I'm a patriot as much as I possibly can. I do the Mr. Patriot.
Well, the picture that we have up, you are wearing stars and stripes. A headband there with the stars.
Well, there you go. So,
scarf and stripes. Yes, we know. There's no question that you were an American, and you also dress up as what's the character?
Mr. Citizen Patriot. Mr. Citizen Patriot. Mr. Citizen Patriot.
Yes. You're right, Ted. From the standpoint that we tend to, as Americans, we tend to be fat and happy. We sit back and say, "These are somebody else's problems. I'm not hopeless, so why should I worry about it?"
Exactly. We think freedom is free. We're not guaranteed our freedom tomorrow. Every single day, every week, every month, every generation must fight for this freedom. I guarantee you, 99% of the American people wake up every morning and do not think about their citizenship and what it means, and the veterans and the people, the military people who secured that and won that. We don't think about that except for getting a job on an application or traveling overseas. We don't appreciate it. You know what, guys? Flag Day. That's what I was saying going before. Flag Day. For a year and a half now, since the COVID, whatever it was, I have been flying the American flag, the Star Spangled Banner, upside down.
I've seen the photographs of you in California with that.
Yes.
And thank you for bringing that to people's attention.
Yes. And see, I've been posting up out here in Venice Beach with that flag upside down. When I first did it, the police were scared of me. Everybody's kind of, oh, that dude's crazy, man. And then as people began to find out what it was, as I educated them, it says in our flag code law or guidelines, it says that the flag should not be flown upside down except in the cases of extreme distress of life and property, which also means our freedom. That's why I fly. The flag's upside down to call we the people to rally and organize ourselves and bring our government servants under control. And that flag will fly upside down until we rectify the wrong in our country. It's not the people south of the border. It's not the socialists. It's not the Democrats. It's us, America. It's us. This was the whole argument that King George had with the founding fathers while he said that, yeah, your idea, people governing themselves, is a very noble idea, but it's impossible. It's against human nature. He said it will not work. And the founding fathers said, yes, it will, because we're going to depend on divine providence to get us through this. Well, the way things are looking right now, it looks like King George just might be vindicated if this republic don't turn itself around real fast. We need to stop complaining about this team on the other side of the field. Oh, gee, coach, they're bigger, they're faster, they got more fans, their uniforms are prettier than ours. They cheat, coach. Coach didn't want to hear that. Coach want to hear in the locker room, what are you going to do to win this game? Play your own game and you'll win. And they go out and they win the game. That's our problem.
Great advice, my brother. Listen, I wanted to shift gears here to something that seems to be pervasive across the country right now, and that's this critical race theory stuff. I consider this to be a Marxist plot. And we'll go into more detail there. I'd like to get your take on it. And then I think Ted and I, not Ted, but Ray and I.
I'm Ray, yeah.
Yeah, you are Ray. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And at any rate, give us your take on this. You know, from the standpoint, you know, Ray and I are white guys. Okay, so we have now you're in the other side of the coin here, where you know, you say, gee whiz, what about this critical race theory? Have I been abused all my life for the systemic racism that they claim? I can't help it. God made me black. God made us white. Nothing I can do about it. That doesn't mean that if somebody's another color that I should have a problem with them, which I don't. And I was very fortunate. I had parents that taught me, like Dr. Martin Luther King, that, you know, we're all here, and that's the content of your character and not the color of your skin. So give us your take on this.
Well, you know, at some time in the future, if you have me back on again, I would really like to address that very popular one quote of Martin Luther King: "I dream that one day my 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." It seems to me when you read "I Have a Dream" in its full context, there was more that Martin Luther King said there that people are missing, which is one of the reasons why we're in the problem that we're in today. And the socialists smell blood in the water when they recognize the American people don't know their history. The American people don't know the Declaration of Independence. They don't know the Constitution. They don't know the preamble. They don't know the 14th Amendment, Civil Rights Act of 1866. They don't even understand the Civil War, the fact that it was 740,000 innocent young white boys and men, North and South, who warred against each other over, for, and because of black people in this country. There has never in the history of humanity where a one race of people slaughtered each other over the existence of another race of people, one saying, I want to bring them into freedom. And I say to you, white guys, stop running around here with your chin on your chest, pick your chin up off your chest, get your shoulders back and your heads up and walk. If you were such racists and bigots, why is everybody, people of color, running into America legally and illegally? I don't remember the Jews trying to get into Nazi Germany. They was trying to get as far away from the Nazis and racism in that European country as fast as possible. Yet you got people coming here, that them 3 black women or colored women in Congress are running around saying that Muslim and women of color can't speak. What? Then why don't you go back to your Islamic countries? Why don't you go back to those nations where you have no rights at all? If the white man is such a racist dog, why are you here? And see, I don't blame those people. Once again, I blame us. And I blame you white guys for not knowing who you are. And by not knowing who you are, you're allowing the socialists to run a guilt trip on you. And that's why I'm here. One of the reasons. I want you, because see, if you guys go down, we going with you, man.
So Ted, where does this idea come from? Because I remember back in school, we were taught citizenship. We were taught American history. We were taught that, and this was Kennedy as well, John F. Kennedy, who said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." It seems like everything has been turned around, but from the homelessness, from the critical race theory, it seems like they're trying to mold people into, you do what we tell you to do, don't think out of the box, and this is the way that it is, and accept it. And I'm just not eating that soup.
What most people in this country don't realize, because we are too lazy to study, we better get out of that habit real fast. The socialists came to America in 1850. They had targeted America to infiltrate socialism here. And they were watching the biggest crises, the biggest imperfection in this land of freedom, the issue of chattel slavery. They was watching that. And they was watching the Civil War and which way that was going. And they was going to focus here, but then Russia became a better plum and they focused all their energy there. Well, after the Civil War, when the robber barons came into existence, when the Republican Party and the Democratic Party made that Republican Party, Democratic Party compromise, whereby the Republicans gave us over to the Democrats for the sake of having the 20 electoral votes that would keep the Republicans in the White House 6 consecutive years. In 1877, that was the year that Jim Crow was born. And in that, the socialists formed unions. And through those unions, they began to infiltrate into the community. I have a document, Ron, and I will send it to you guys, where the Communist Party of America in the 1930s said, the way we will bring down America in the future, it will be through black people, or what they call the Negroes. They said, we'll play on their slave history, we'll play on Jim Crow, we'll play on all of those things. And they said, now look, when you go to their meetings, don't go there talking socialism. Go there, be quiet, go to marches, hold up signs. And then they're going to say, hey, white boy, what are you doing here with us? And that's when you begin to indoctrinate them. And this is what happened to Martin Luther King, who was a conservative, who was a Republican. And because Martin Luther King did not understand how to stop black people from killing one another in the ghettos and fighting and not organizing themselves and getting educated, he turned to the socialists who said, we will give you ideas such as free housing, food stamps, health care, teen centers. We'll give you government jobs. And we got hooked.
So Ted, where does the idea that the parents, the fathers in particular, are no longer there to set down the rules and be head of the household.
That started.
Fit in.
That started again when the socialists infiltrated the Democratic Party. Both of them believe in slavery. That's why they could not infiltrate the Republicans and conservatives. So they went with them. And when they put out that whole in the 1965 War on Poverty Economic Opportunity Act of Lyndon Johnson, that was the beginning of the unraveling of what was left of the black family. Because when you became 18, if you're on welfare, you cannot be in the house. And that began that particular trend. But you know what? Once again, though, instead of attacking the socialists and the Democrats, I want to attack the conservatives and the Republicans for not standing up and fighting for us and with us. They ran away from the fight because they didn't want to be around us in the urban centers, in the ghettos.
Well, I think that there's a great awakening going on right now, and that there are people within the Republican Party and the true patriots and the We the People movement that want to rise up and they want to do things. And I know that President Trump worked very, very hard to bring people out of this swamp that they were in with the opportunity zones, with
yeah, but you know what? But he lost. Listen to me. We're still losing the country. We're still going down, even after all of that, because
I know we're working on here in Arizona to find out if, in fact, and this goes back to HR 1 and SB 1 too, where they want to federalize the elections throughout the country. Arizona's standing up right now, and they're
I see that.
stand and saying, you know what, let's make sure that everything that happened is as it seems, because there's a lot of people saying, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. President Biden and Kamala Harris came to Phoenix. Nobody showed up with them both appearing here.
We said nobody. We did not have one guest.
There were news people, but that was it. They came together, and at the same time, President Trump was here, and he's getting tens of thousands of people coming and activating them. So I think that he kind of put the spark, and that there are people now that are waking up. They're getting off the couch and they're saying, you know what, we do have to do something.
But you know what, though, my brother Ray. But you know what, though, Ray. The so-called wokeness of conservatives and Republicans, if they don't understand the fundamental issues of this nation's founding principles, if they don't understand the great chasm or the great wound of chattel slavery, which is what the socialists are using to tear the country apart, if you don't understand that and how to get that rectified, I don't care. You'll win battles, but ultimately, King George is going to be vindicated. Now, let me tell you what I'm doing. I want you to go to mattersofblacklives.com. mattersofblacklives.com and see what I'm doing. I need you to support me. Listen, you know, I've heard for many years, we need a real strong black leader to help us out here with this. I show up and I'm not getting the support. You see, I have been trying, and Ron will tell you, Ron's been a supporter, good supporter. He and I tried like crazy to get to Donald Trump. We tried like crazy to get to Dr. Carson, to share with them these intricate details that could protect the president from the racist attacks. And everybody we went to, and Ron, I went to people after that, even African-American conservatives who know me and who are around Trump, refused to introduce me to the man to protect him from the racist attacks.
I'm curious, Ted, have you talked to Larry Elder?
Listen, I know Larry Elder. I saved his freaking career. Good grief. I know him. When he was against, never mind, I don't want to go into that. I know Larry. Larry's not interested. He could have picked up the telephone and called the president. I know a lot of these guys out here. Larry's never supported me, really, only with words. And this is why
you were fortunate enough, I think. Is it Dr. King's daughter? You had
yes, Alveda King. I know Alveda. I've known Alveda King for years. Bless her soul, a wonderful, wonderful woman. But she doesn't have a clue as to what to do to save this country. She knows nothing about the 14th Amendment or the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
And I want to share that with our audience here. Can you give us some bullet points of ways that they can help out, or ways? I know we're going to go on your website, We marked it down here.
The first thing you can do, as I said, go to the website. Let me give you one more. Go to the14th.us. The14th.us. That's digital one.
That's referring to the
14th Amendment. Right?
Digital 1, digital 4. Digital 1.
Bullet points that they can start thinking about now.
Well, I'm telling you now.
They can start moving in that direction.
I'm telling you now. Before you go on the battlefields, I teach these black folks out here in LA. Before you go on the battlefield, you need to know how to fight. You need to know your weapon and how to use it. Otherwise, you don't belong on the battlefield. And I'm telling you, the first thing you need to do is learn the preamble, learn what the Declaration of Independence says, start studying that Constitution, and go to my website and learn these things. And if you want to talk to me, just email ted@tedhayes.us, ted@tedhayes.us, or you can actually call me at 424-248-4219. And
All right, very good. We're going to get that number again now. I want to tell you my take on this. In 1917, we had the Communist Revolution.
Were you there?
This is a wee child.
Okay, all right.
And they took over at that time the Soviet Union with a goal of world domination.
Yep.
And the one thing that the communists have that most of us in the free world is we tend to want immediate
gratification
rewards for what we do.
Yep.
The communists are looking for the long term.
Decades, generations.
Yes. And now if you go and you say, what is our 100-year plan? And you go from 1917, now fast forward to 2017, okay? During that time, we had Barack Obama, and I'm not going to make any bones about it. I think Barack Obama is a socialist and a Marxist. There can be no question in my mind that that's what he was when he became president, and that's what he is today. And when he said we're going to fundamentally change the United States, I think they were going to try to change this into a Marxist country. Now, what happened in 2016? The country said enough, and they hired Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, I think, put a lot of brakes on things. Now, did he do some things wrong? Obviously. Did he do a lot of things right? He did. He was not a politician, so he made a lot of mistakes, I think. And even
I think surrounding himself with people that maybe didn't have the same values and goals that he did.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I think Donald Trump did is he put the brakes on this 100-year plan to socialize America. Now, fast forward to 2020, we know the results, and we're going to talk a little bit later about the audit here that's going on in Arizona and some of these other things. And so I want you all to stay tuned, but we're almost got to move on here very shortly with Ted. So what happened? Donald Trump put the brakes on this thing. The socialist Marxists could not stand that. So I think they tried to accelerate this now, and we see it in H.R. 1. We see it in most of the legislation. We see it with open borders. We see it with what went on this week, climate accords, where we're going to once again jump into and save the world with American hard work and dollars.
At America's peril.
At America's peril and not China's peril. So now, what happened? Let's fast forward to the very thing that's going on right now. Those of us that are really into this recognize this. We are woke as well, but at a different woke. We are woke to the dangers that are being given to this country. So what do? What does a Marxist want to do? Divide and conquer. It's the oldest political strategy and military strategy ever. Divide and conquer. Now, I don't know anything that can divide more than critical race theory. Critical race theory is a fake philosophy that is out there to get our attention away from what the real intent is, and that is to make America a Marxist country. That's Ron's opinion.
Ron,
I'd like to know what you folks think about it. Those of you that are on Hub Radio Phoenix, we have a page there where you can put your comments. And if you're watching us on Wimkin or another platform, go to Hub Radio Phoenix in Facebook. Tell me if you agree with that. Tell me me where you agree with Ted. We've got to do something. Our nation is in peril. Ted is flying the flag upside down, which I think is a smart move. Get people's attention. So this wokeness that we are going under is the real plan. I'm sorry, but the critical race theory is just a diversion to keep us off the real issues.
Ted, would you agree that the enemy comes to steal and kill and destroy, and that if you go into any place in the country, you go anywhere, if they're stealing or killing or destroying, that they are the enemy, and we just have to acknowledge that?
You know, again, let me say this. We came, we met the enemy, and the enemy is us. The only reason they're getting away with this stupid, dangerous critical race theory is because the American people on the political right and left do not understand our history. Someone said that unless you understand the Civil War and what that was all about, you don't know America. And see, if we want to, you got to remember something. Barack Obama was a black man, right? And so you couldn't really criticize him without being called a racist. And now everything you say or do, if they disagree, what they say, racist, and they put it that racism is tagged under my black skin. And because good, well-meaning white peoples on the political right and left truly are convicted and see, yeah, there's some wrong things here, but we just don't know what to do. That's when the Marxists say, you are a racist. And because you cannot face the winds of critical race theory or face chattel slavery or face all these things that's gone down, you then get swamped under. Someone told me when the storm comes, don't run away from the storm saying, look, the storm is going to do us damage. No, you turn your boat into the storm and you go after it. And this has been our problem, Americans. We, for 245 years, as we the people, have been in a defensive posture, voting every 2, 4, 6 years with the hope that some quote-unquote idiot that we elect to office will look out for us. No, no, no. That's not what the founding fathers intended. We collectively are smarter than they are. We're their bosses, but they got us thinking, no, we got ourselves thinking, oh, they're our bosses. Hello, we pay their salary.
Yeah, Ted, you're absolutely right. And it's all about education. You must educate yourself.
That's it.
Know why the amendments are there. Know what the Bill of Rights means. Know what the Declaration of Independence says. Why they did certain things. Don't be deceived. Don't walk around with your head in the sand. Go out there, educate yourself. There's some great resources. We want to tell them the website one more time.
And by the way, and don't think for a minute the Constitution is a living, breathing document. This is your rights from God are constant. They don't change at the political whims of this and power. All right, well, let's go with that.
So the website that they can get
14th.us, correct, Ted?
Mattersofblacklives.com, mattersofblacklives.com, where I will take you into the storm.
Is that lies, L-I-E-S or L-I-V?
Black lies. No, matter. It's Matters of Black Lives, lives.com.
There you go, brother.
Yeah.
Ted, we have music playing, which means we're going to have to say adieu for now. Let's get together again tomorrow or so. I'd love to have you on, and I'd love to have you here in the studio. So next time you're in Phoenix, you have a spot right here.
Absolutely.
Ted, adios, Ted.
Blessings, you guys. Shalom.
Bye. Shalom. Take care. Bye now. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We have Jose Borajero here, and we have...
Hey. Y'all heard that? Yeah, that's my buddy over there in Phoenix, Arizona. And known the cat for years. White guy. I obviously can tell. Great guy. Very knowledgeable. I suppose you heard some of the things that I said, particularly about the conservative Republican movement. and the socialist movement. I hold true to that. Even with black folks, we can cry the blues all day long about what the white man has done to us and how he's trying to stop us. We can do that all day long. That's nothing. Everybody can do that. Anybody can do that. Big target, easy target. Black people, we've got to find out who we are. We got to become awakened to who we are. If you think you're woke, nah, you ever have a dream within a dream? That's where it's at right now. Until you can understand, be enlightened, educated to the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which is the progenitor, the parent, the Rosetta Stone of the 14th Amendment, you really got no business on the battlefield. That's